Hold your horses, honey. Hey, welcome to Bunto's Healthy Skin Tips Hangout. Maybe God just deteriorates much more slowly than we do. I'm here with our fabulous panel with Sid, Ask an Atheist, a fiction fighter, Green Soul Sufi, and of course Pyong. And I'm your host, Bunto Skipper. What we're talking about to start off our conversation is secular TV. Sid, can you please, pump your show right now? Thanks.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bunto, thank you very much, firstly, for inviting me onto your show. I'm extremely honored because you are an admired person in the Google Plus community.
You're welcome.
Okay. The problem is, it's not really a problem. It's my little ad hominem attack, in that you're so ugly that you have to have an avatar and never present your face.
Everybody brings that up.
Yeah, really. You should have a nice picture there, Bunto.
That's not nice?
That's a pretty big mouth there.
Gives me nightmares.
That mouth is huge.
I love that avatar. I'll never get rid of it.
In my nightmares, I go floating into that throat.
I'm not going to write that down.
With a mouth like that, you're always hungry.
That's funny.
Anyways, okay.
You don't want to know the details of what happens after.
I can imagine. Sid, your show on secular TV, is it popular?
My show on secular TV, is it popular?
Yes.
Do you watch it?
Yeah.
Then yes.
I mean, what kind of feedback you've been getting on your show, Sid? Tell us. I mean, people like what you're talking about, or they want you to get harder?
Well, you know how it is when there's a race, and there's runners in a race or participants in a race. Someone has to come last. Right?
Somebody has to come last. All right.
Somebody has to come last. I'm that guy. I don't mind.
No, you're not. You're not last.
Well,
Green, are you there?
Yes, unfortunately, I'm here.
Have you ever had a TV show on your own content?
I do have a community, and I do have a hangout. We talk about, topics of psychology.
Oh,
But they're never live. They aren't live, though, are they?
Yes, they are. Yes, but this is the thing. This is the catch. They're only live for an hour and a half.
Well, that's a good time period.
Are they public?
Yes.
Oh, because...
You have to be part of the community in order for me to send a invite. And unfortunately, there's some people that haven't got the invite, so I have to work out those details.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's those little details to work out. So what kind of feedback have you been getting for your show? Is it popular?
No, it's not popular.
yeah, I can't say mine's popular.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one problem I've had, Green, is I've tried to come to some of those, and I wanted to watch first, and I couldn't watch it publicly while it was going on.
Yes, and again, I'm trying to work out the details. There's some individuals in the community that's trying to fix that up, so hopefully we'll get the ball rolling on that. But definitely I do want to get more psychological topics within the Google Plus community. So,
Because I do enjoy those kind of topics.
oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, can you understand them? Are they very, are you looking for a selective audience or a general audience, Green?
Well, my aim is a general audience, but there are people that I would like to talk to that has a little bit more knowledge of certain psychological topics, but trying to make it as general as possible.
Mm-hmm.
When people approach you and want simpler topics, I mean, you're glad to accommodate them? Something a little bit more, like, let's say they have a family member that has an alcohol problem. They want to talk about that.
Yeah, definitely I would talk about it, but, I try to make it general, but a lot of times there's very complex issues that are involved, and that's the whole crux of the problem. But, I think with time it'll refine itself to something more general where people could understand. And that's the whole point, and trying to make it fun at the same time.
And you're very informative, I can imagine.
I try to, but definitely.
Okay.
And I'm very inviting. You know, I'm not judgmental in any way, and I try to do my best. You know, within these hangouts to, and I do have an objective in order to have people to come together and communicate their ideas in a more effective manner.
Oh yeah, by far.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
fiction.
good.
What interests you about psychology? And
What
when you
interests
watch
me in
those hangouts,
psychology?
what particular points do you find interesting?
Nothing like putting me on the spot, eh?
Just you can say
Abnormal psychology is my favorite.
The human mind fascinates me.
just the overall.
Yeah, that's my overall opinion. Because
Like,
because I deal with people all day long, so it just enhances my caregiving, you know. The more
your
I
approach.
understand about the more I understand about people and how they think and why they think what they think and how they solve their problems and how to help them solve their problems. The whole gamut.
Well, what I want to ask you, Green, is do you talk about sexual subjects?
I was just at a hangout that we were talking about that. It was very interesting because it's something. It's not my forte. When it comes to sex and psychology, but I'm learning.
Was it sexual preference
It was more about sexual preference.
or a fetish or what?
Sex is part of the psyche, right? It's all part of psychology.
Of course, and it's an ongoing thing because I think it really has to do more about relationships and how you relate to others and how you express yourself.
Hmm.
Hence, part of sexuality.
We're sexual animals.
Part of it,
Hmm.
yeah, definitely.
Well, what was the topic? I mean, what was it a very in-depth subject or?
Well, it was more about homosexuality.
Okay, that's up my alley. What was it about?
Wow, and we're live too. Holy crap!
Go ahead. Let.
Anything goes.
I'm ready. I'm ready to defend my position.
Well, I think one part of it about it is that why do men prefer watching, lesbians
Okay.
in the sense that do women prefer watching gay men?
Do you want my opinion or you
Sure,
already
yeah,
read
I
it?
would definitely try to get out of this as soon as possible. Go ahead.
I've noticed that. I think I've noticed women feel more at ease around gay men, so I don't think they would mind seeing gay men have sex. That's my belief.
Well, my whole premise is that for men, especially, I think we're conditioned a certain way.
Sure.
And, coming from a behaviorist standpoint, is that the way we're conditioned is the way our attitudes are formed. Because in the past, I was not able to see two men kissing, but now I could actually see it with at ease. But it took me a while to feel comfortable with that.
Okay, watching same-sex indulge in intimacy it made you uncomfortable.
No, just the kissing part. But
Okay.
But I know in the sense that it was part of my conditioning because the way what I was told
Right.
what was appropriate or not.
I
So
can agree with that 100%.
yeah, so I think that was a very interesting conversation that we had about that, and I think that's a summary of it.
Okay, well, yeah, okay. Social conditioning influenced your what would you say, conception of intimacy between same-sex people.
Correct.
Terry, excuse me, fiction. Would you mind watching men kiss?
Would I mind?
Yeah, would it upset
You know
you? I
what?
mean,
It's none of my business what other people do. It's whatever they do.
no, I
Whatever.
mean, could you
That's not
stand
what
it?
he's asking.
I'm asking you if you could watch some men, share their intimacy together.
Well, I have no choice in the matter, do I? It's
Really?
gonna happen. It's gonna
Somebody-
happen.
Okay, well, you do have a choice. You could say no, you don't want to see it, or you wouldn't mind seeing it.
I don't care either way. I'm okay with
I
it.
see it all the time, and I live in San Francisco.
No, but I did detect a level of uncomfortableness there. Did you, Green?
Yes,
Who?
I did.
With me?
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yes.
What? With me? Are you kidding me?
Well, she's from conservative Ontario. No wonder.
Okay, what is abhorrent about men
But this
carrying
way, it doesn't happen a lot in my dates. But it's not shocking either. Like I'm not prejudiced against anyone. You know what I mean?
I see it in the streets every day.
Yeah.
I always surmise that it's women who get jealous of men usurping on their prerogative, on their role. What do you think, Green? Does that make sense? That women don't need the threat of a man usurping her role.
That I'm not sure.
I
No,
disagree.
let me put it this way.
People mind their own business.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Anybody who's expressing love and is experiencing it, I think it's a beautiful thing, no matter what form it is in. So, I mean, I wish everybody could have that kind of love, no matter what form it comes in. How's that?
I agree, Fiction, but I just, and I think this is where Bunto, and I'll speak a little bit for Bunto, is that how do you feel about it subjectively, regardless if it's right or wrong? Because I don't hold any judgments that people will say that it's wrong, and I will ask, why is it wrong? Why do you feel it's wrong? Not because of society, but within the individual. You see what I'm saying?
Kinda. Like, I don't feel it's wrong, though.
Okay, but does it make you? But if it makes you feel uncomfortable, does it bother you?
That it makes me feel uncomfortable?
Correct.
Does any sort of intimacy displayed make you feel uncomfortable?
Maybe that's what you're getting at there.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I'm not used to open displays of intimacy. There you go. That's it. You got
That's fair. No, that's definitely fair.
A lot of us are. A lot of us.
Yeah, and I admit that because I feel uncomfortable.
it.
And
Around open sexual expression, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Really? Well, I've noticed that. I'll just tell you, Green, that the hostility that I've sensed from women was because of I felt that I was usurping on their, if I did some sort of act. Well, act is not, public display of affection. And if I felt hostility from it was because I felt that that was maybe, my sense was I was stepping on her role. Being the partner of another guy.
No, that's fair to say.
My case. No.
But this is the whole question of jealousy.
Well, that's one thing, Terry. I don't think you've ever sensed hostility coming from a woman because of your affection. I'm sure you have never within your life have sensed that.
Say what?
Have you ever sensed hostility coming from another woman because of your you displayed affection towards another person?
Can't say that I have. No.
Because you're a woman. I mean, your role is allowed in our society. The homosexual role is not. I mean, it's still, looked down upon. It's secondary. Does that make sense, Green?
I think so.
No, I'd have to disagree with you.
Okay, so yes, I want to hear.
Because, like I say, it's all a matter of where you stand and what your perspective is. Like I say, I live in the densest part of one of the densest parts of the country, in a city which is predominantly known for it being a gay hotspot, for tourists and stuff. So certainly on Friday nights and Saturday nights, I see a lot of intimacy, after the clubs and whatnot.
Okay, same sex.
And during the summer and during the summer, the regular days, partners walk hand in hand, male or female. That's the kind of society or community I live in. Nobody cares.
Put it this way. Can I say something?
Yes,
that I've had a chance to think about this. Okay, so you think that women look down upon you?
Not all women, some women.
Some women look down upon you as a man, giving another man affection because that woman
I'm usurping her role.
Yeah, so it's like But I don't understand women like that because why would they get upset if you're giving affection to a man who's not attracted to women anyway? So like, why would a woman have a right to get upset about that?
Because I'm doing something they cannot.
For
They're
another
like
man.
you. They feel ashamed seeing displays of affection and showing their affection openly. And when I do it, it's jealousy.
But when you do it to a man touching another man, ew.
That's you, see? I mean,
That's not
the
me.
thing. No, what happened
Like
is
that,
that
I'm going, oh.
society relegates, us in the minority in the distasteful role.
I don't look at it that way though. I hope you don't think that.
Well, why don't you be gay? I mean, if you could be a gay man for a week, you'd know what I'm talking about. I mean, you sense the distaste for my position.
But women do it to other women, men do it to other men in the sense of competition and jealousy. I think the whole point about it is jealousy, and then when there's jealousy, whatever differences you had, will be enhanced of how you disassociate with the other person in order for you not to be as hurt and justify your anger in a sense, if that makes sense.
Who's angry about what?
Are you there, Pyong?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah,
Who's
Big
angry?
Daddy, what's happening?
Well,
What do I do?
from what you've heard,
Yeah.
does it make any sense to you as far as, like the feeling of people that do get uncomfortable about any affection being displayed in public? I mean, was that
yeah, what you guys were talking about, yeah, it makes sense to me. Yeah, I've told you a little bit about some of my old girlfriends, and I tell you what, man, I've never been kissing other men in public and stuff, but because I'm heterosexual, but I have definitely seen, and this shocked me the first time I saw it, but with several of my girlfriends, I would see women walk by them and give them dirty looks, and I was like, what? I said, what'd you do to her? She said, nothing.
right?
That's just kind of the way it was. And one girl, her name was Aisha, the other one was Patricia, and Aisha would just like ignore it. She would pretend like it didn't even happen. So I saw that, and that was just straight up jealousy there. But yeah, the other thing I thought about was it's kind of like how straight married women hate prostitutes.
Okay.
They're like fucking prostitutes. Like me, I don't care. I think I'm a single guy. I don't have a wife to cheat on, so I'm like, yeah, you want to get a prostitute? Somebody would tell me I want to get a prostitute. I'd be like, all right, yeah, sounds good. But
One too, yeah.
What's that?
I'd say buy me one too.
Yeah, right. But I knew this. I worked with this woman, Karen, who was a secretary at the place I worked at, and she detested it. Every time there would be like, she'd take the paper, man. Every time there would be like some kind of prostitution story, she'd show it to me. She'd like, look at this, and I'm like, what, Karen? What's going on? And I have a sneaking suspicion that maybe she caught her husband with a prostitute or something.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
It follows.
Yeah, but she detested it, and so I was thinking about that when you were talking about, a woman looking like at you,
Crossways.
Right, crossways. That's exactly what I was thinking about, Karen, when you were talking about that. So.
Interesting.
So Sid, you don't find anything wrong with prostitution, correct?
Correct.
All right. So does it matter what kind of prostitute? I mean, you could deal with, tranny prostitutes.
Okay, look at it this way. Okay, I'm standing on the street and I'm looking in one direction, and all the prostitution of whatever sort that you can imagine is happening behind me, right?
Okay.
I don't see anything.
Okay. Well, my question was this. Okay, do you have a preference for prostitutes, or just?
Well, I don't associate in that lifestyle. So, although I don't do, I'm not part of the lifestyle. I'm not a judge, and I don't.
Oh, so when you were saying, to Pyong, get me one too, you weren't serious.
Of course not. No, of course not.
Well, I mean, like Pyong said,
Well,
there's nothing
I
wrong with it.
wasn't 100% not serious.
Well, okay, let's talk about that. I mean, so you can deal with a tranny prostitute.
I don't know. I suppose I'd have to be in the situation. I'll let you. If you put me in the situation, I'll give you a report after.
Well, I mean, didn't you say you live in a major metropolis? I mean, you could put yourself in that situation easily.
Oh hell!
Why do I have to do it?
Are you kidding me? It's wall-to-wall training on Saturday nights.
It is?
Wall
Okay.
to wall tranny.
Wall-to-wall.
Okay, Green, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay. Have you had the conversation yet with prostitution in your psychological hangouts?
I actually teach a course in sexual exploitation.
Okay.
There's
Exploitation.
Yes.
Is it all
Well, there's
exploitation?
something I
How do you get into
abhor.
that?
I hate it when people are forced into it. There's something I don't agree with.
You know,
Well-
they should take people who are forced into it and not force them into it, and then take people like me who won't necessarily need a lot of persuasion, and I'll gladly I'll free somebody's from exploitation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hence I actually teach really young adolescent males. I go into demographics of how sexual exploitation gets started within younger individuals because usually the demographics and the studies usually indicate that, girls as young and boys start as young as 13 and 14 in that path. So that's why I am actually against a lot of strip clubs and, prostitution.
Okay, in your estimation, Green, do people willingly go into prostitution, or are they always coerced?
Usually is coerced.
Okay, usually. Like, could you give me a number, like 80%, 90%, or less?
I say it's probably close to that, yes.
Okay, so those people that go into it willingly, tell me what's going on there with that sort of thinking.
That I don't know who goes in willing. I don't know if anybody, as a young person ever decides, hey, you know what, I want to be a prostitute when I grow up.
Well, the
I
money,
get
Green.
Desperation, maybe.
that. Usually it comes with
It's not really
desperation.
desperation. It's not. Sometimes it's just a great way
Yeah,
to
because
live.
they're in a situation, Bunto, where the only way out they see is to earn big money fast to get onto a goal that they want to reach in life.
I just feel
wrong
that,
with that?
yeah, I just feel that sex is much more than a feeling of gratification, I think.
Oh,
And
so people can't separate their intimacy from their feeling.
I think it comes with feeling.
Okay, so a prostitute, in your mindset, has to have some connection to the intimacy that she shares with a stranger. Some
I think,
feeling.
and sex is for me, as a behaviorist, it's a very complex issue.
Yeah.
Hence, but I think the fact that there's some sort of vulnerability there because you are actually, without your clothes, trusting another individual. So for me to think of something that is a monetary exchange,
Right.
I think it kind of, I don't think that's sex actually. I think it's something else.
Well, yeah, you can
What about
characterize it.
sex addicts?
I think it's conditioned, like anything else. I think it's not just about the sex. I think it's something much deeper than that.
Well, these people that willingly go into prostitution, I'm sure it's foremost for money. Maybe it is for,
Well, the question is why money? Then was it about
okay,
money that
I know
it's
why they go in for money, because with money they equate it towards satisfaction. The amount of money that they pull down is the way they derive satisfaction. Does that make sense? It's not so much from the actual sexual act, it's how much money they make doing a sexual act is where they get their gratification sexually.
Hence, if it's something like that, then there is another, there is a condition there. There's something that's probably unfulfilling.
Sure, let's call it the
In
money
other words,
fetish.
there's other issues than just the money, right? Is that what you're
Of
saying?
course, it's not just about the money. It's about their self-esteem, their self-efficiency.
Well,
Um,
what's wrong with that thinking, Green? If you know that you can have sex at a certain level, but if you can have sex and make $500 doing it, and know that the other person is more than willing to pay you 500. In fact, a whole series of guys are going to pay you $500 for sex. I mean, can't you see where their satisfaction is going to be, coming from the money? It's going to be important that way.
then I have to say there's something very deficient about that individual, because I really feel that.
Man, I wish Jeff was here. Hold on.
Yeah, I really do. And I think what you're talking about, it's very rare.
No, it's not.
Um,
Actually not.
because
I've
I
encountered
think,
several, both trannies and women with that mindset.
of course, and I would think so, but how did that develop? That's the question.
Well, because they replaced their sexual satisfaction with the money satisfaction. It's the money fetish.
Then I would say that sex is not really important, because sex is part of a relationship. It's about a connection in a sense. And I don't know if I could ever you know, even connect with someone with that, because it's
Okay,
more
you're
about.
absolutely correct. I completely agree with what you're saying.
Mhm.
It is incredibly difficult to have a relationship with those sort of people because they treat you in a certain fashion. And then let me describe this to you. They treat you in two ways. They either treat you as a whore or they treat you as a client. You have your choice in those sort of relationships. And that is a hurdle that those people need to get over. If you're going to have any sort of meaningful relationship with somebody in that line of work.
Hmm. Yeah, I just feel really bad, because I just think it's a very lonely feeling. I can't imagine going through that type of mindset. And I actually really feel bad, in a sense, but what do I know?
Well, okay. Well, let's move on to another subject. Let's say that we want to talk about anybody. I open the floor up.
No, I'm just listening, enjoying it.
Let me see. Okay. Intimacy in public is that a direction that we should be going to for a healthy society, to be able to show intimacy in public, or should we still keep it closeted?
Well, when I, growing up in the States, I actually went to South America,
Right.
and the amount of caring and intimacy that I saw in public was very inspiring, I gotta say. And
Thanks.
I don't know it's about, the climate or the culture, but that's something that I can never forget, and I felt great actually just watching that. So I don't know. Maybe it's northern climates. I have no clue, but
Well, let's say it's the Anglo culture. Anglo culture is a lot more, well, I hate to use the word colder, but a lot more, less hot. Like they say Latins are hot.
mhm. Yes.
Anglicized culture is definitely a little bit more in the colder. But, when we watch our TV, like if we watch Fox News, we're seeing, the total blonde Nordic women. I mean, we see a very sexualized presentation in all of our media. We just don't see affection displayed openly.
I maybe has to do something with imagination. We have this imagine, but uh, knowing my culture, it's very emotion based and very affection based. Um, and even growing up and being born up in the northern states, it's still hard to get adjusted to. Maybe there's a reason why this type of culture is well, this type of behavior is displayed and is preferred. That's something I have to find out myself.
Pyong, are you there?
Yeah. Yeah, what I
Um,
do?
so are you very affectionate out in public?
I can be. I used to have this joke where I would. I remember one time I was in Toys R Us. My girlfriend was with me, and we were holding hands, and I took her hand down by my crotch, and I started yelling. I started yelling, "Let go of my penis! Let go of my penis!" She was mortified. She didn't like that kind of stuff.
Oh, she didn't like that horsing around.
She didn't like it. But
Well,
yeah,
I meant like genuine
I
affection.
switch on girls and stuff. Yeah.
Um, are you doing that to broadcast out to the public, or are you just doing it out of just your instinct? Are you
No, just
broadcasting
want
it,
to.
or are you using instinctively?
No, no, I'm not. I never do it to like show off or anything. I mean,
Well, aren't there benefits to showing off with a beautiful girl?
nah.
No,
Well, no,
I disagree.
I disagree.
maybe, you know, but no, I just do it because I want to kiss him, so I'll kiss him. So.
Okay,
No.
fiction, are you there? Fiction.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, do you like when a guy kisses you in public? Do you mind it, or do you rather have him not do that?
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay.
Depends.
Have you ever had it done? Like, if somebody kiss you in public and you like
Yeah,
that?
and it makes me uncomfortable.
Oh, okay, okay.
Why do you think?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think I know why, but I'm not going to say anything.
Well, I mean, isn't there a clinical why that you could give us? I mean, I don't
No,
think
I cannot.
marriage. Well, I mean, it's within her right to be.
Let's put it this way. I don't feel comfortable being close to anyone in that sense, anyways, in general.
Why? What's at
But
stake?
what does that tell you? What?
Well, I mean, for me, I'm just trying to see what's at stake.
I just
mean,
don't
what
like
would
it.
you
I just
lose?
don't. I just don't like it.
Like I was thinking, like maybe a guy did kiss you in public, and then you'd feel scorn, or you wouldn't want to face their evaluation of the display that you did. See, it's like insecurity.
No, to me, it's like intimacy should be, for me, I prefer intimacy in privacy. I'm not openly affectionate.
A kiss in public is that sort of intimacy.
I don't know what to say.
Well, I have a better question. How about a child
Yeah.
giving you a kiss on the cheek in public?
That's different.
Yes. So it's not just. It depends. It's contingent upon who it is.
Yeah, but also too, with all the, let me think about that for a minute.
Yeah. Well, we have to just lay the ground. It's not about wrong or right.
Right.
Definitely there's cultural aspects to it too.
Yes. I guess what I'm trying to get at here, so I say it right, is that affection between adults and children can be misconstrued too. So I'm very cautious about that as well.
Of course.
Misconstrued. All right.
Yeah.
Do you feel like people will always misconstrue affection between adults?
Yeah, because I've done it myself.
Well, why should people always misconstrue that sort of
Because
affection?
the way society is, because there's so much child abuse going on and shit, so it's like I don't want to be looked upon as part of that. You see what I'm saying?
Well, no, I was talking between adults.
No, you mentioned about children first.
I did.
There's somebody, yeah,
Yeah, I mentioned it.
yeah. So
Okay,
Because
A
it
child
does make a
you-
difference. Yeah.
a child kissing you, an adult, is somehow can be misconstrued. I don't follow that. See?
No, I get what she's saying too, because it's all contingent upon experience, and given the event within that community, especially like a stranger, and knowing,
But
and this has to
agreed,
do
a
something.
child is innocent.
put it
Of
this way,
course.
Bunto, with the kind of background that I've had and things I've seen and everything, I just prefer not too much contact within too close a proximity with any human being.
Well, I'm not even talking about you, honey. A child kissing an adult can be misconstrued.
yes,
Yes.
it can.
Can.
Okay.
I'm not saying, look, Bunto, I'm not saying it's wrong or right, but it's all contingent upon the event and community. It's really about the environment of.
That's just beyond me. I can't see how somebody can blame
Yeah, but you're not in that situation.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
a
Have you ever been
child
abused,
kissing an
Bunto?
adult.
Have you ever been sexually abused as a child?
No.
Let me be point blank, all right?
Yeah, but I don't
That's
have
the
to be.
perspective I'm talking from, all right? I don't want to discuss any more about it. I'm just going to stay quiet now.
Sorry. I was just trying to understand the
Yeah,
position.
no, definitely, it's definitely okay. You know, I seen it. You know, I understand it, given where I'm from, and there is levels of trust.
All I will say is that a child is innocent, so I just can't.
Yes, it
It
is,
does
and
not
that's
make
the.
any sense to me whatsoever
Mhm.
how somebody can derive that would be some form of child molestation when it's coming
Mhm.
from the child. But
Ideally, yes, I could agree with you, but
ideally, I mean, there's
ideally,
no.
yes.
I mean, it's common sense. You can't assume that there's some sort of child sexual
But let's say for example, if
when it comes from the
you,
child.
yeah, but let's say for example, if you, let's say, been abused or a relative, then I think you'll be much more cautious in a sense of who's kissing who, and because I think behavior comes with association of past, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so I think that's what we're talking about here.
Well,
Yeah, I'm not saying it's universal. I think with
I was
certain
just
with certain
imagining,
individuals.
like the lawmaker that comes forward so wants to pass a supposed child molestation bill whenever they see, some child kissing an adult. See what I mean? What is their scientific basis? There is none.
Then again, yes, things become sensationalized, but these things happen. Like there was a law passed here in this state where a person, was not cognitively functional, and the person couldn't really express that person needed to go to the hospital, and the person then end up passing away because of that. And then the law just came about where any sort of certain symptoms you have to call 911 regardless. But one of the things that happened is that people kept calling 911 regardless because they didn't want to get fined. And these things happen and they become sensationalized, but it's understandable why these things happen.
When they do pass child molestation laws, there should always be a scientific basis behind it, some sort of.
I think so, but I think, yeah, I think so, and that's due to a lot of times what politicians do. Um, and it's a dirty game, but
Okay.
it is something that I do agree with. Like it has to have some sort of there's difference between the idea than the application of it. You see what I'm saying?
Well, what I was thinking about was severe injustice. Have you heard of the McMartin preschool case?
No, I have not.
What happened was they accused these people who were running a preschool, I believe it was in California, of being satanic worshipers and molesting all the children. And I think they spent at least 20 years behind bars before the verdict was reversed. Pyong, have you heard of that one, the McMartin preschool case?
No, I haven't.
Well, and then we have a case here in Austin. In fact, these people were accused of being child molesters and Satanists, and they spent at least 20 years in jail before it was found that the guy who offered the testimony, the psychologist, it was he recanted his testimony. I mean, are you
Yeah,
familiar with those cases, Green, where they severe
Yes.
injustices in the case of child molestation?
Yes.
that kind of stuff. That's what I refer to, or I think about as like a one-way check valve. There's same kind of principle with. There's nobody that's in their right mind who's a politician that's going to stand up and say, if there's a chance somebody's a child molester, let's give this guy a fair shake. It's just not going to happen.
Never happened.
Never happen. Even if they may deserve it and they're innocent. For example, like you're
The
talking
preschool
about.
cases. Yeah.
Right. Right. It's just like being soft on crime. Same thing. It's actually the exact same thing. Nobody wants to be soft on crime, and nobody wants to uh, protect child molesters or something.
Right.
Like these what do you call them? The laws that where a
Child
child.
registration, sexual registration.
Right, the registration laws. I mean, they're borderline unconstitutional for anything else. But because think about it, you're talking about a
A bill of
finite.
attainder, right? A bill of
No,
attainder on them. I mean,
no.
it's a mark on them. They're marked people.
Well, what I was going to say was you're talking about a finite crime and basically a sentence or a punishment in perpetuity.
Right.
And so that is, basically might argue that
Cruel and
violates the
unusual.
process. Yeah, I wouldn't go cruel and unusual, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
But
well,
the reason that those things exist and that they persist is because nobody's going to stand up for those kind of things. So that's what I like I say, just a one-way check valve.
it's a one-way check valve.
Yeah, that's how I think of them.
Well, Green, how should we handle child sexual molestation in our society? Are we handling it correctly or not?
I believe this is more of a medical issue, hence psychological issue. I don't believe in punishment. I believe in
Jailing these
rehabilitation.
people? Okay.
Yeah. And I think science comes into this, tremendously. I think a lot of times, and we determine justice as something within free will. I'm more deterministic when it comes to these issues.
Yeah, I mean the legal system always just assumes there's not even the slightest whiff of debate about it. They always assume that free will is a given. As a matter of fact, I think that the discussion about free will is really kind of a misnomer. I don't think there's much of a discussion about free will. It's a justification for this folklore mechanism by which a divine being judges. But beyond that, it's basically assumed to be true.
That's interesting. Do we have a problem in our society with sexual molestation?
I would hope so.
Oh fuck yeah, because it's damage. It's absolutely
Like an epidemic?
damage.
Epidemic?
I don't know if it's an I don't know much about it, frankly, but it's damaging and yeah.
Well, Green,
I
would you say our society is really sexualized more than, it should be?
I think we don't talk about sex enough.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't think we express it enough. I think it's something that's looked at as dirty,
Okay.
and it's unfortunate because I think a lot of the problems probably lie within our expression of sexuality. Hence, you look at, how people view homosexuality, for example.
Sure.
So that's a starting point. And
Okay.
I think a lot of people in the United States are victims to that in Western cultures. Yeah.
Okay, doesn't our technology allow for a greater sexuality in our society? Well, I was thinking, like, we have these camera phones, right? And don't the kids take naked pictures of themselves and circulate among themselves in school-age kids? I mean, isn't that an expression of their sexuality?
Yeah, but that's not really what I'm really talking about. I'm really talking about, sex in general. The actual, not just the actual act, but just even speaking about it. Even speaking about it, for me, it's
Well, think about
taboo.
this, Green. These kids are circulating. Let's say these kids right now are 15 years old and they have a very, open sexuality. When they grow into adulthood, won't our society be more open, sexually speaking?
I think they should be open in the sense to not over-sensualize it.
Over sensualized.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's something that, we do as individuals, exploration. So
Okay, the 12-year-old girl wants to have a breast job, over-sensualized, right?
that's
12-year-old
not
girl
really.
wants to have a breast job.
Well, this is not just about sexuality. It's about identity, and I think in that case, and I'm just generalizing here, and why does this person want to have a breast job?
Well, she watches it every day on the news. She watches, I mean, not the news, but all media devices, the internet, television, movies, display to her what an attractive female should be.
And this is what I'm talking about, because no one is able to talk to her. The people who are very close to her really talk about, you know, not not so much what's appropriate, but what she's going through,
Okay, so now we're
and
talking about propriety.
not just propriety, but I think in the sense of how that person feels as an individual. Why does this person feel this way? Why does this person has to look somewhere outside in order to be accepted? Because it looks like the person has not been accepted within her circles.
Pyong, do you think our society is too sexualized, sensualized?
Nope.
Do you think it's just a natural level?
Do I think it's too what'd you say, too sensualized, too sexualized? What'd you say?
Right. Well, like the 12-year-old girl that wants a breast job.
Oh, fuck no. But
Racist.
see, the thing about a 12-year-old is that's, to me, like if I was able to influence her decision making, or make the decision for her, there's no way that I would go along with something like that, because she's not capable in my mind yet, a 12-year-old, of forming an advised consent, of something like that, where she would decide that was what she wanted to do.
Okay, doke.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Because they're still developing.
Right.
Sure, but let's say, what came to my mind, guys, it's just not one 12-year-old girl. It's like, let's say all her friends are starting to, branch out. And one of them manages to con their parents into a breast job. You know what I mean? It's
Well, if
sort of
they're
like
able to
peer
calm their
pressure.
parents, there's something wrong with the parents.
And then I was thinking, like, these are 15-year-old girls, that they're so used to circulating nude pictures of themselves among their peers. I mean,
I'm
how
with
do
Green
you
on this
account for
one.
that?
There's not enough parental involvement in raising a child. People are pumping out kids, and they're not considering what it takes to actually raise that child.
Do it, fiction.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, how can the parent combat that? I mean, isn't it really technology? I mean, everybody's
No.
taking a selfie of themselves, naked selfie of themselves.
Well, it was very simple. I'll ask the question: why do you want to do it?
Because their friends are doing it.
Yeah, but then I would say, well, how old are you? It was like, well, I'm 14 or 15. I said, well, do you know when do you start growing? And I will ask that question, and if the person, and then I will try to educate them and say, well, you still have a lot to go.
Okay, her 14-year-old friend has pumped out about 20 cheesecake photos.
Mm-hmm.
That's gotten a fantastic response from every male that she shows them to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she sees her friend and it gets such a, it's normal, what'd you say, envy or thrill?
You see, I think a person like that, definitely, it shows that the parents don't give a crap.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I mean, well, as a parent, yeah, the parent can be blamed, but how does the parent even combat that?
I could combat that very easily by just being there. And then they said, look, you're still growing up.
Right.
Yeah,
But I mean,
and as far as
the idea that it's
if worse comes to worse, then you have that decision to make because you're responsible for that child.
okay. The idea that is unacceptable comes from her parents, right? But the idea that it is acceptable comes from all her peers. How can the parent even approach that?
Well, something you have to understand about adolescence is that adolescence is you're in between, a child and being an adult. So it's a very difficult time for an adolescent's life. There's a lot of conflicts, and And usually that's the act of rebellion. And this is something that actually is expected.
Okay. The first thing the parent would ask is for laws to be passed against. Well, I mean, they'd
You
make a
don't need
moral majority,
laws.
wouldn't they?
No, you don't need laws because the person's not in the adult age sense right now because there's already a law because you're under the care of a adult. After they're 18, if they want to do what they want to do, that's up to their prerogative.
Sure, but can't you see the parents having a reaction against the sexuality of our society?
That's not that has nothing to do with sexuality, though.
I know,
Very
but
little
I
to
mean,
do. It's about social acceptance.
okay, we can call it social acceptance, but can't you see them having, this social acceptance is, sexually tinged. Can't you see them having a reaction against all things sexual?
No,
I mean,
not necessarily.
Don't they complain about the video games, the movies?
I think you're comparing apple to oranges here.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking from the parents' perspective of how to deal with a society's sexuality.
Well, sexuality is in the sense of boyfriend and girlfriend and them dating.
Okay, well, let me ask you this.
That's more.
At what age should somebody actualize their sexuality?
It's hard
There
to
is no
say.
set age.
Yeah.
No way. I know there is no set age, but I think the earlier it's for the benefit of that person.
Say what?
If the earlier it is, the earlier age. Yes.
The earlier they have sex, is that what you're saying?
No, that they
Yeah.
actualize their sexuality. It doesn't necessarily mean sex.
What do you mean by actualize? What do you mean by that?
That they actually know where they stand as a person sexually. That they understand what sex is. I'm having an echo. Open it up to the floor. I think it's just healthy, sound.
So you're
Better
saying-
than actualizing their sexuality when they're like 31 or 41.
Oh man, Bunto, I think you shot yourself right in the foot there, man.
Why? Okay, no, really. I like to know what is wrong with actualizing your sexuality at a young age.
You know what? I have to stay out of this one. I really do.
Why? You
take
take the position of saying that I shot myself in the foot. Why won't you explain to me why I shot myself in the foot?
Oh, because there's too much blood and I can't see it. That's what it is.
All right. Well, I ask you.
What do you mean when you say actualize their sexuality? You said
that they know what sex is and they know where they stand in their sexual preference and their sexual identity at a young age.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I mean, if you want to educate them, not necessarily like.
Sure.
I think it's a good idea to educate them and just say, hey, like I've said to my nephew before, I'm like, I don't actually come out and say, hey, are you gay? If you're gay, that's okay. But actually, I have said that to him.
Sure.
I'm like, hey, you like girls or you like boys? He's like, I like girls. I'm like, all right. I said, if you like boys, it's okay too, and that sort of thing. I think it's important to be accepting of them, of kids, and I think that a lot of kids, if they're, I don't know, it's you're gay. When did you figure out you were gay?
About 14 years old.
Yeah, see, that's what I figure. I mean, like me, I like girls with big boobs. You know what I mean? And eventually, it got to a point where I was like, yeah, I like girls with big boobs. And I figure about that same time, if I was gay, I would have been like, yeah, that guy's cute. So.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what I was talking about. Just you know where you stand at an earlier age.
Right.
I know fiction felt I was intimating that somebody would have sex, but the thing is, fiction that you understand, people do have sex at a young age now. I mean, it's almost unavoidable. I think the majority of people in our society have sex at a young age.
Yeah, I don't know if I would
I
suggest
think it's important to ask why are children having sex. I don't think
Yes, you
that's
can
right.
ask that.
They
You can
want
I don't
to.
think it's right.
right,
want to
but
have
it
sex.
does happen. I mean, children are
And it should be
not
discouraged.
necessarily discouraged, not necessarily against their own volition, but I mean, they do experiment. Green, should we start discouraging children from exploring their sexuality?
Yes,
We
Because there's too much blood in the water there, right? have to learn how to give straight answers, Green.
No, because it's different. It's different between situations. The different between the person and who it is and what type of culture. So it varies.
Sure.
So I can't really generalize this thing.
Well, on the whole, should we, discourage people from finding out what their sexuality is at a young age? Just on the whole, should there be any interference?
I think there's, I wouldn't say interference, but like some guidance,
Guidance,
Yeah,
but it's
that's what
helpful.
I'm trying to say.
If you repress it, kids are gonna, kids when they reach sexual maturity, they're gonna want to have sex, and they're gonna want to experiment, kiss girls, or kiss boys, whatever, and so if you say that that's not good, that you can't do that, they just go hide and they do it.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you got to talk about the people who are paralyzed for life now because of mononucleosis, right?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, if they catch this,
Mononuclear, I love that. I don't even know what that means.
I mean, is that what your parents threatened you with?
No,
You ever heard of mono? It's a
yeah,
virus.
it's mono. It's just a fact. Some people will just get it really bad and they become paralyzed for their lives.
Anyone?
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, that does suck.
Yeah, luckily it's not that common. So I mean, people can get mono and live perfectly full lives.
So, is there any benefit in...
Sid has been unusually quiet.
Yeah, Sid. Speak up, man.
Yes, this is not his forte, I think.
Not mine either. Sex talk. Fuck.
No, if you see my face, I'm like
it's more
dodging
like
bullets.
sex. It's like sex. Listen.
Are you saying you're sexually listening?
I'm
See your hands.
I'm listening with my dick.
Oh my god.
All right. Okay.
It works. There's an echo.
It just got uncomfortable for me when you start talking about sex and children in the same kind of way.
Yeah, that's rough.
Well, we're not exploiting the fact. We're trying to elucidate the phenomenon.
It shouldn't
I've
even
been
be
trying
discussed.
to,
It shouldn't be
build
something
before
to be
that.
talked about.
It should not be something that be discussed.
Not in a
anybody's
forum like
hallucinating.
this. Not this forum.
No.
Why?
She don't want to.
I know, but we weren't discussing her specifically.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'll tell you what, though.
Sex and children.
I opened the floor up earlier. Listen to me. I opened the floor up earlier to any other...
It doesn't match, Bunto. Sex and children doesn't match.
Well, no, the
What
thinking
part of that
behind
don't
it
you
does
get?
not match. Well, the part that I don't get is, how a child kissing somebody else could be construed as sexual
We gotta go
molestation.
back, circle around again.
And then also, my point of saying that, yes, I think it is for the benefit of any human to actualize their sexuality as young as possible, to avoid problems later in life, and that was laughed at. So, I mean, those are my positions.
Well, because it actualize isn't very clear.
Well, I was going to make it clear,
Well, you did.
made it clear for me. You made it clear
Yeah.
enough for me.
You did.
Well,
You
listen, sure, there's many things that we can choose not to talk about for the, benefit of helping other people, but that's just not my thinking. I mean, I hope people, when they do listen to my Hangouts, that they gain something from it, some elucidation, not evasiveness.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna reach through the internet and slap you.
No,
Yeah, I feel like
I'm
slapping
just
you, Bunto.
stating
I love
what
you, but I want to slap the shit out of
stating
you
what
right
I've
now.
experienced.
That fucking red thing head's gotta come fucking off.
I open the floor up. You can talk about whatever you wish.
Yeah, you ripped
I'll
that
tell
away.
you what, man. I
opinion.
had. Go ahead, Fiction.
I mean, there is hostility to things that are misunderstood. And I don't think that's right. I think you should explore what troubles you.
No, man, not on a
Oh,
fucking.
I think
Oh,
when they're
sure.
ready.
Well, I mean, I did offer to that you may move the conversation.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
well, I do agree with you, but the only difference is I think when they're ready to, and when they have the tools to do that.
Does that make sense?
You know, uh,
Fiction.
there's a lot of times where there's things that it cannot be expressed just through words, but it has to be expressed in other ways.
Sure. I'm not arguing that point. I'm arguing the point of laughing when I'm trying to, explain my position.
Mhm.
You got it. You got an idea in your head, and you're sticking to it, and you need to let it go.
Oh, sure. I said I opened the floor up.
Hey,
You can talk about whatever you
no,
guys
but
want.
no, but seriously, what you were talking about before, though, with getting in touch with your sexuality and getting understanding, like sexual education and stuff like that.
Sure.
I had in my life, I had a situation where I was a foul-mouthed little boy, and I was on the bus, and I guess I had like this, I don't know, like 13-year-old crush on a girl that was in my neighborhood that rode the bus, and I said the craziest shit to her. Half of it I didn't understand. It was just talk that I had heard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that her parents, it was probably horrifying to my parents, but her parents came over with her and her older sister, and they sat down and they all talked about it in our living room, and it was just like, oh my God. So something that arose from that was I got all the sex books. Okay, they brought out all the sex books, and they're like, this is this, So I got an incredible sex education at home, which I don't think most people get. And my dad would, he'd make me read the individual chapters, and it was a very like a what would you call it, antiseptic book or whatever. You know what I mean? It was just
Right.
it was biological stuff. And so I'd have to read the chapter, and then I'd go downstairs, and he'd be watching TV, and I'd have to explain to him what I read, and all this stuff. So I had a pretty sophisticated understanding of it, and I really appreciated that. But I first had sex when I was 15, and even then, so that was several years later,
True.
and even with a pretty good understanding, it was too early for me, man. It was too early. I didn't feel good about it.
In the general, Green, does it make sense to you that a person should study sex at an early age?
If they're ready. But
If they're ready, you mean before
but
the outcome or after the
you
outcome?
know what I think, and this is the difference, is that it learning about it but applying it are different things.
Nobody's arguing that point. I'm just
Yeah,
asking, in general, is it a
No,
good idea?
that's a good point, because that's exactly what I was saying.
Sure. But in the
Yeah.
general, is it a good idea?
again, it's contingent upon this culture.
Contingent upon the culture.
Yeah.
So there's some cultures where that could, happen around 31, 41 years old.
If that's what's about, but there's a reason for it.
Oh, there's a reason. What is it?
Well, it could be northern climates. It could be events. I have no clue. Like
That's right, because it doesn't make any sense. You have
no,
to
no,
have,
it does make sense for
at 31 years old that you should.
Well, I'm not saying 31, but I'm just saying some are earlier and some are, some people get married around 16. So it's really depends on its culture, and there's
Well, what would you offer as the latest age?
within my culture is 18.
Okay,
Yeah,
sounds reasonable, doesn't
for me personally, it was later on in life. I was too paranoid when I was young to do something like that.
it? If you learned that the majority of American children were having sex before that age, would you change your stance?
I knew people were doing that, and I still was kind of like, because of my experience.
Sure, but
I
I mean,
was
if you knew,
I
if the
knew
majority
no.
of children are having, would you change your stance, or you still stick to 18 years old?
I would still stick to 18 because of my experience. Yeah,
So you would wait till after the outcome,
yes.
sort of,
For me personally, yes. And I think there's differences. Yes.
Okay.
I think that probably I would by 18, yeah, definitely.
By 18, sure, because the majority already had sex.
Or even even after that would have been okay too. Would have been all right. So.
Well, the thing is, we have to have sexual education. It has to occur in high school.
Yes, it does.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It does, and that's what kept me away from it. Looking at all diseases and stuff like that, I was like, I don't know.
Oh, so it was like a fear.
Yeah, it was like
it served no practical purpose. Your sexual.
I think it did.
Oh, it did.
I think it did for me. Yeah, it did. And not only that, given the fact that growing up in a neighborhood where people were having children at the early age and they couldn't even support them, that was the other problem that I seen, and so I was very careful. With that, because I thought about the consequences of stuff. I didn't just think about I just want to have it. I thought about the after effects and how it affects people.
So was it a nominal quality of sexual education you received, or was it, pretty damn good?
No, I think it was nominal.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that goes into it than just the biological and the functioning and stuff. There's a lot more into it. Because the experience itself, it's a whole brand new type of education, if you want to call it that. Huh?
Would you like to see that sort of education in high school, or just keep it nominal?
I don't think it's something that could be institutionalized.
I
think there's certain aspects of education about sexuality that needs to be taught and within its framework. But there's also the fact of experience and expression. When you're going through relationships, and I don't know if that's something that can actually be taught in the classroom. And yeah, it's a very touchy subject even for me, because it's not something easy that people could come to terms with, because there's so much investment in the psyche when it comes to sexuality.
Anyone?
Well, for me, I don't know. As far as I think the plumbing instruction should occur earlier than high school, for sure, dude. Because by the time I was in high school, I was basically super interested in girls, ready to go.
Okay.
And thankfully, I did get the instruction before I got into high school, because I think that by the time we had sexual education, and probably by that time it would have been too late, if that's all I knew. So it was pretty good.
How about the types of sexuality?
About the what?
You think that's important, the types of sexuality in an early age, like homosexuality, bisexuality, transsexuals, pansexuals, heterosexuality?
I mean, that stuff takes a little while to form and to understand, and I think it's important to express.
The 15-year-old watches TV and they show gay men. I mean, they're curious about what that is.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Oh, yeah. Well, by that time, you said you knew you were gay, right?"
Sure.
Yeah. So you, as far as like explaining to people that
what gay means.
You could be gay. If you're gay, that's all right. Yeah, I think it's important to express acceptance. To say, hey, that's all right. What's the alternative?
Right.
You're gonna have a repressive puritanical society?
Sure.
Forget about it. So I think it's important to express acceptance, but I don't know what other kind of education you'd need for that, to be honest with you, other than safe sex. How to use a condom and stuff. I guess.
True. Does that make sense to you, Green?
Yes, I do. Especially how people of different sexual preferences are viewed. Hence, especially during a young age, the whole concept of bullying
Yeah.
and and it's a very confusing time. There's been a story about the Rutgers student that was caught on camera. Hence, they kind of sent it out there, and the person ended up committing suicide. And I think that has a lot to do with societal norms of how, people of different sexual persuasions are viewed.
Something that could be discussed.
Yes, and I think they should.
Yeah. Yeah, how profoundly terrible to lose someone that a friend of yours or a son or a daughter or whatever over something stupid like that. I mean, not that it's stupid, it was profoundly important to that young person's life, but Jesus, it's nothing when you really get down to it. It was important to them, though. I mean, I don't mean to marginalize their feelings, certainly.
Oh no.
But yeah, that's just dumb to me. I mean, if I absolutely, I don't have children, but like I said, I expressed this to my nephew. Always about acceptance, building them up, making them feel like they're good, that they can do things, that they're, capable and that they're loved and all that stuff. That's most important to, my relationship.
I completely concur. Very good point, Pyong.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I open the floor up to whatever subject you guys want to talk about.
No, this is a very intense subject.
I don't think so.
You blew fiction out of here.
I do. I do. Because
I think if you do lend any sort of sentimentality to it, you sort of blind yourself.
Oh, dude, come on.
Yes.
Come on, man. Let go.
No, not really.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just saying.
No, man, you can't expect that. I mean, dude, come on, Gotta pump the brakes a little bit. It's all right, though. No big deal.
I'm sorry if my opinion rubs you the wrong way. That's just my
No,
opinion.
it doesn't rub me the wrong way. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about launching fiction out of here. Did you see the comment in the sidebar there?
Yeah, I did, but I mean, I'm not talking about fiction. I'm sorry if you're mistaken that I am talking about fiction. I'm talking about something else.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about...
I'm not telling.
No. Oh, okay.
The thing about sex is that...
No,
like I said before, it is a trust issue in the sense of being vulnerable with someone.
Sure, I wasn't trying to exploit that at all.
Yeah, and that's why I'm very sensitive to this subject, because I know.
Sure, but I mean, I don't. I think Pyong, you think that I was trying to exploit the subject? I wasn't.
You're not necessarily trying to exploit the subject matter. It's like you put your snowshoes on and you're like, look, I'm the intrepid explorer. Look at me. And then you get an idea in your head and you're tenacious and you want to keep at it.
No, I wasn't talking about...
Well, yeah, that's what happened.
Sorry.
Don't have to apologize. I don't care.
Well, I do, because I do respect your opinion. It's sorry. No big you don't respect mine.
Saying. What? Oh, come on.
You don't.
Get out of here with this, you martyr. Get out of here.
No, I mean, I'm just saying the truth.
I don't respect your opinion.
No,
really?
I mean, the way you laughed at me, you just said
that. Because it's the same fucking thing you do all the time. You say something, you get an idea stuck in your head, and you say something, and you're like, hey, that sounds pretty fucking good. And then you keep at it, and you keep at it.
Yeah, you keep going for the ribs.
That's just the way you are, man. It doesn't mean that I don't respect your opinion.
I apologize.
You don't have to apologize to me, dude. No, it's just the way you are.
I like it. Don't encourage him. Oh, man.
Buddies, man.
I was going to bring up the Bible too, but I stopped myself.
Well, go ahead. If you think we can get anything worthwhile out of it, please, by all means.
Oh, yes, I definitely do. The whole Genesis story. Basically, they were talking about how, the reason why, if you look at God as a parent figure and look at Adam and Eve as children, they did not want them to eat. Well, he did not want to be at the tree of knowledge, supposedly, because they want to protect their innocence, in the sense that we try to do that with our children because we try to protect their innocence. And when they eat from that tree, hence they're realizing the world around them is not what they see.
What do you think, Pyong?
I don't know, really, to be honest with you. I mean, could be, you know. See, I don't think. I mean, kind of implicit in that is like the world is like a bad place or something. I don't really see that. I
No,
mean,
I'm not saying that's a bad place, but I'm seeing it as a transition. And I think transition could be very stressful.
okay, yeah, could be. Yeah, it's an interesting interpretation for sure.
Yeah, it's one thing I heard I found very fascinating. Hey, Mister. But it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck God was thinking putting that tree there, man. He should have put it on some. He should have put it on some mountain, like 50 miles away with a moat.
Right. Okay. Well, God talk. It's safe.
God talk.
It's a
Welcome to
safe
God
subject.
talk.
I mean, it's something that we can all share in a safe, secure level. I mean, we understand it.
Well, it depends on how you define God.
That's the beauty of it, right? That it depends.
Yes, it does. Sleep time. There you go. My guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's safe in the fact that most of the time it's easy to understand. I mean, you have it's almost a universal language. You talk God is good, devil's bad. It's easy to put together that way, but I don't know. It's always
Well,
troublesome.
I think it's really the interpretation of how we make sense of the world around us. I think we've been doing that. I think science will give us a function of how things work, but I think sometimes myth will give us our subjective meaning within it.
Yeah, who's that? Jung?
Yes, Carl Jung. Which I
Yeah.
do have a community called the Analytical Psychology Community if anybody wants to join it.
Yeah, I dig what you're saying, and I read, who was the fella that wrote it was the man symbols.
Archetype.
It wasn't archetype. I can't remember the damn. It was like 20 years ago, but it was based on Jungian stuff. It was I can't remember. I'll have to think about it.
Man of the Symbols.
Yeah, it was about man, and it was about man symbols, and
The Red Book. There's
that's
a couple of books.
it was white, and it had a bunch of masks on the front of it. But I'll look it up.
Yeah, it's probably Man and the Symbols. I think that's the one. That's the famous one. But
Who
I'll
wrote
check
it?
it out. Oh, Carl Jung.
Oh no, this wasn't actually by Carl Jung. This was by another guy that I was thinking. Anyway, whatever. Um, yeah, I mean, I appreciate that, but that even that kind of stuff, looking at it from a folklore point of view, um, well, I should say, to my mind, is kind of looking at it at a folklore point of view. And anymore, I'm just all about kind of like how not that I understand it, I don't profess to be an expert, but all about how the brain works, because one thing every human being every human being's mind is of a like type. They have differences, certainly, but they're of a like type. And the mechanisms that go on in the mind for sentient beings to experience thought, to become indoctrinated, those types of things, those are of a like type as well. So that's more the way I look at it now. I mean, I understand about, you've talked about expression before, and symbolism, and interpret, the way we interpret things. But I really, personally, am more focused on looking at it in how, the brain processes the information. What purpose does it serve? Why is the information shuttled from one point to another? How can it suppress reason? How can it suppress modeling? How can it suppress language? And how does the fear work in there? That kind of thing. That's kind of what I'm looking at it now. So, but I'm not saying that I don't appreciate what you're talking about, though, with regard to religion.
Well, that's basically my point. I think, knowing, the attribute, scientific attributes of how we study these things, and understanding myth and how things are relatable to within its environment, actually, it's very helpful in the sense of understanding part of ourselves. And I think it goes hand in hand, but I think there's also what we call the mystery within it, and I think that's what makes it really exciting.
See the mystery within what?
Of not knowing it, hence trying to find out about it.
Of not having certainty, or of not being convinced that it's true, that sort of thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
not having, so definitely. And it does make us, we look up at the stars in a sense, and we wonder, and that's actually, the word miracle is actually a Latin term of wonder.
Right.
Yeah, so it's very fascinating.
Yeah. I'm definitely at a point where I accept people's beliefs, don't have any problem with them, liked hearing about them. I love hearing about people's conversion stories and their, if applicable, their deconversion stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I like getting details about them, but I don't see the mystery, because and the reason I don't see the mystery is because there is always an assertion that they know, and the knowledge is derived from their indoctrination, but ultimately I understand people use the term mystery, but really it's I don't know if that's even really applicable. Like, I have significant real mysteries in my life.
Right.
There are places in the cosmos that human beings will never be. What's going on there? What's going to happen in our future? These are real mysteries, and I think they're magnificent. And so, but
well, what's the utility to mysteries that we'll never know the answer to?
Yeah,
Not much.
I don't think you could even say that there's utility to mysteries that we don't have an answer to, but I'm not sure what Green might say to that.
Well, the reason that these are safe subjects is because they're fantasy. Can you see that? I mean, they're harmless.
But not to a theist.
Right. But that's why the theist enjoys them, because they are harmless. I mean, it's what would you say? There's not much to the Trinity as much as to, how a society should be better. There's more. What would you say? There's more efforting towards improving society than worrying about God the Father, God the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I believe.
Well, it's super important to a lot of people. A lot of people.
Well, it's something to think about.
And actually, what you were talking about, it's more important to better society than it is to have belief in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. At this point, I'm thinking that it's that part of the brain that drives that indoctrination is the self-same part of the brain that is used to interpret their position in society. See what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's why I think it's able to suppress reason. It's able to suppress modeling. It's able to suppress all of these other things because it's a survival mechanism. We're a social species. An assumption there is that if you're not in the group, that you're doomed. That you're not going to thrive. You're not going to survive. But so that and it's not that somebody might even be religious. Who was I talking to who said that they were a believer but they weren't religious? Oh, Raw. Have you ever talked to Raw Apologetics?
Nah, tell me about it.
Well, short description is he said that he wasn't. He made it explicitly clear that he wasn't part of a group. It was kind of like Green was saying earlier about being an ex something, and he made it clear that he wasn't part of a religious group. And but that doesn't turn over my idea, because it's not being part of the group that's important. The part, this bulky, and I mean I'm using loose language here, but this very strong part of our own brains that the indoctrination is working on is what drives us to want to be part of the group. So he doesn't even have to be part of a group. You see what I'm saying? But that bulky part of the brain that the indoctrination is working on, ultimately, I mean, again, and I'm using very loose language here, and I'm not a brain scientist or an anthropologist or anything like that, but that could have been the driving motivation for it. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's closely tied to society and survival, but it's kind of like, of course, it's like a fictional software that's running on that particular circuit, and that having that run on the social cognition circuit. You ever notice you get into these fucking hangouts and a common theme is morality,
Right.
and the theists always associate morality with God. Now this is just kind of an intuitive sense of mine, but I have a sneaking suspicion that there's a connection there. You see that if I were to characterize morality, and again, I'm not an expert, but I would say you have internally imposed morality and externally imposed morality, and all of those rules are only useful in the context of human society. Okay? So the moral rules, I might say, are the rules of human society, and that's also running on the social cognition circuit. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Which is where I think the indoctrination is. So it makes intuitive sense that these people are like, well, of course morality comes from God. Or you might hear them say, well, if you don't have God, how do you have morals? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But like I said, it's just a pet theory, and it's just intuitive. So.
Oh, I think it's a good theory. Makes sense.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. And I've been bouncing it off my buddy John, he's got his doctorate in psychology. He's retired now. He's been doing it a long time. He
Hmm.
likes it too. He likes it too. But I'm not in a position to do any kind of experiments or anything, to show that. I need to read some of the research again, but it's fun.
Right.
That's one of the reasons I didn't want to talk about it the other day when you brought it up,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a study that I want to reread that came
Right.
out of, so anyway.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I'd wait too. Well, Pyong, let me go ahead and cap it for tonight. I'd like to thank all our listeners for listening, and if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. Have a good night. Take care.